Ulbricht on the line. Lynn, are you there?
I am. Hi.
Hey, Lynn, it's great to hear your voice
Hey.
again. Want to thank you again for being on our show last time. It was actually my first time ever meeting you in person, and it was just such an eye-opening and enlightening show, and you're such a fantastic person, and I'm glad to have you back.
Oh, thanks. Yes. Well, it's a pleasure to be with you guys always.
Well, thanks. So, Lynn, just why don't you fill in our audience just some of the developments that have been happening since you were on our show last. What's been going on?
Well, there's been revelations of obviously corruption on the part of investigators in the Silk Road, and this was information that Ross's attorneys were not permitted to use in the trial, and the fact that they weren't permitted to use it, even though it was known to the prosecution, was devastating to Ross's defense. The fact that there's all of this corruption in the investigation casts plenty of reasonable doubt as to the integrity of the investigation. And so this deprives Ross of his due process rights to a fair trial. And I actually think that this blocking of this information at trial is just as big a scandal as the scandal itself. Because we're talking about our right to a fair trial, which is fundamental to our freedom. And so I think it's pretty outrageous. And the defense actually, when they realized this was going to be sealed, said, well, let's put off the trial for a couple months while you wrap up your investigation if it's going to jeopardize it. And that was refused. So Ross's due process rights were not put on, were secondary or, to that, and he was deprived of them. They could have put off the trial and still had their investigation. So
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like a severe ethics violation by the prosecution.
They have an ethical code of conduct that says that they're supposed to be, that the truth is their priority, not getting a conviction. And I don't see how that
it's basically their mission statement that they are to seek the truth and not a conviction. Is basically
Right.
what it's outlined in jurisprudence.
Exactly.
And like you said, right to fair trial is so fundamental to who we are as a country and to a free society. And it's fundamental in part because the right to a fair trial is sort of the last resort against the government. There are all sorts of other rights that we're supposed to have to protect us from government intrusion or prosecution done unfairly or illegally. But once you're in that courtroom, right to a fair trial is essential. And, like you mentioned, we talked about this quite a bit last program when you were on. Stuff that we discussed that you brought up in particular casts so much reasonable doubt on the case. And that's what prosecutions are supposed to be about. They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. And so much reasonable doubt was already demonstrated in the case. And yet now this only adds to that pile of reasonable doubt.
Exactly. And the defense was stymied at every turn during the trial. And, so not only was this sealed and kept secret, but then they, knowing this information, blocked the defense from going anywhere near it and trying to introduce favorable evidence.
Wasn't there, in the beginning, I guess the first couple of days, they had kind of a momentum going with the defense, and then all of a sudden there was a mention of Karpeles, and then everything just got shut down, and the whole dynamic changed. The judge and a lawyer and probably Chuck Schumer went and had some tea and crumpets over the weekend, and then, when they came back, all right, let's just railroad this.
Well, I can't comment on that particular thing, but there was definitely a big change, and I actually have posted kind of a guerrilla version of my speech. It's a guerrilla video of my speech at South by, and I spell it out, and it's very clear in the speech that day 3, many things were considered relevant by the court as concerned that testimony, and then by the 4th day, it was blocked. Suddenly it wasn't relevant anymore. It was stricken from the record. The jury was told to disregard it, and it was like it didn't happen. And that was over a period of from a Thursday until the following Tuesday.
Has there been any indication from the defense that maybe you'll try to get a different lawyer or a different venue? Not a different lawyer, but a different prosecutor and judge and venue.
I haven't met with Ross's lawyers. The next thing up is sentencing, so that's the same judge. As far as the retrial, I don't know. I don't know what.
This seems like an extraordinary circumstances where they should be able to just, I don't know, either a mandamus or, habeas corpus and just shoot this thing back.
Well, I'm certainly hoping that this will help Ross's case.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Especially, with just the information that's in the movie and now this stuff, and surely Alex is going to add this into it, I guess into the final clip, because what he's got coming out on Epix it's not, what he pre-showed at South by is not exactly what's going to be on Epix. There's going to be like the verdict and all that was planned to be. So now he's got this to add into it. Mm-hmm. So I think that'll really help to influence a future jury.
Well, and we're hoping that this has some bearing, at least initially, on the conviction proceedings. I'm sorry, the sentencing proceedings, and at least for now, hopefully, in addition to some of the character testimony that you discussed being a part of that, hopefully this can limit his sentencing. But also, we hope that this can also affect his appeal in a positive way. Is there any opportunity that you're aware of to sue on any grounds with the new revelations? Anyone involved in the investigation or in the trial as part of this process?
No, I don't know anything about that. Like I said, I haven't talked to Ross's lawyers, but I don't know anything about that. I don't know what, and I suspect there's a lot more to this story. I don't know if we will ever know it, but I think this is a tip of a very big iceberg.
Yeah, it sounds like.
I actually said that in my speech before I even knew this, and I think this will keep unfolding. There's just so much to it. It's very complicated.
I personally think that all the donors should get together and file. Everybody that donated any kind of money to the legal fund should just get together and have a class action lawsuit.
Go for it.
Based on some of the evidence at trial, it sounds like there were other agents that went rogue during the course of the investigation. We didn't mention what the actual content of the corruption was, but two agents were charged with stealing almost $2 million, laundering the money, planning murders for hire. Also, one of the agents created false subpoenas that were supposedly signed by DOJ officers.
Now, and just out of curiosity, the false subpoenas, does that mean that they basically compelled people to come in and give sort of testimony or evidence against him illegally? Or can you tell us anything about the false subpoenas?
Actually, I think one was an affidavit and one was a subpoena.
Oh, yeah.
Right, but the subpoena was one of the agents, and he got his personal.
We only have about 30 seconds left.
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
Well, real quick, I'd like to also say that they had access to the administrative platforms of the Silk Road site and commandeered accounts and have the ability to change PIN numbers and things. So we don't know what they did.
So they could be the Dread Pirate Roberts. For all we know.
They were the Dread Pirate Roberts for the last portion of it.
Yeah.
There's evidence that one of the agents fabricated evidence.
Lynn, thank you so much for coming to break. We really want to have you again in the future on the show to discuss this. This has been the Crypto Show with Lynn Ulbricht. We'll be right back.